A classic profile of a hoarder is of a person in their 50s who collects clothing, newspapers, magazines, lots and lots of containers, boxes, bags, paper bags, and so forth. And all those items are usually collected in the middle of the room, and they're all dumped in a pile. And so it's sort of, there are three basic features that we see in hoarding that are behaviors and experiences that are a little bit different than those of the rest of us. One has to do with the acquisition of these things. And the acquisition happens in a couple of different ways. Most people who hoard engage in excessive levels of acquisition, either by compulsively buying things or compulsively acquiring free things. Going around on the day everyone puts out their trash and going through other people's trash is a common behavior that we see in compulsive hoarding. People who can't resist going to a tag sale or a garage sale and picking up things is a common occurrence in people with hoarding problems. We've had people engaged in treatment programs where they've had people over to their home to help them clean out, and they take a break to go out and go on a garage sale and see if they can find something else to pick up. So it's a behavior that they find very hard to resist. So that feature, the acquisition feature, is one big piece of the hoarding problem. The second and sort of classic piece of the hoarding problem is an inability to throw things away. Or the intention to save things. You can think of this in two ways. One is I'm saving something because I want to keep it. And the other is I'm saving something because I can't part with it. I don't necessarily want it, but I can't seem to get rid of it. Because every time I do, I start thinking that I might need it somehow. The kinds of things people save, the most frequent kinds are the ones I mentioned: clothing, papers, magazines, and so forth. And what people typically see, particularly people in health departments or elder service agencies, when they go into someone's home and find a hoarding problem, what an observer sees is all this stuff piled in the middle of the room. And they think to themselves, well, this is all unusable stuff. This is all trash, and we can come in and get rid of it. The difficulty is that for people who hoard, there's a problem in collecting all this stuff, and all that goes into a pile. And there are important things in the pile and unimportant things in the pile. And what it boils down to is not the fact that people who hoard save only worthless and worn out stuff. They save everything. And that's an important thing to keep in mind, that we've had people with hoarding problems whose homes are filled with brand new things, never out of the box. They can't use their home because they have all this stuff there, and they've never used it, but they just can't stop themselves from acquiring it, and they can't get themselves to get rid of it. So those two features are quite important: acquisition and difficulty discarding. The third feature has to do with organization and clutter. And this is what people first see when they go into the home of someone who hoards, is an array of clutter, an array of stuff in the room that seems like a random pile of everything. And the first two, acquisition and difficulty discarding, are things that many of us experience. Perhaps the thing that is most disabling about hoarding is the lack of ability to organize all this stuff. It all ends up in the middle of the room, and the person can't seem to handle it, can't seem to create some kind of organizational scheme, no matter how much time they spend working at it. We've had clients who spend 3-4 hours a day before they come to treatment, 3 or 4 hours a day trying to organize their stuff, and they simply can't do it. And this is in part related to information processing deficits that we see in hoarding. And in particular, what we see is a tendency to lose the ability to judge the most prominent and important features of a possession. So people who hoard seem to pay attention to the unusual detail in objects, in physical objects. And those details are then given importance, like the shape and the color and the texture of an item. And once you pay attention to those things and give those importance, they sort of lose their distinctiveness from the real conceptual importance of an item. So for instance, a bottle cap that's got no bottle associated with it. Most people would think of that as something that should be thrown out. But if you pay attention to the shape and the color, and you get an appreciation for the aesthetics of this physical object, then those issues become important features of that possession, and you have to consider those before you can throw that item out.